What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 257. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hello. I'm confused.
Why?
Because I don't think you're actually recording.
No, I am. Oh, yeah, it's gone.
A guy is right here.
What guy? No guy. See? It's just the normal,
You sit there and smile the entire time.
Phil hasn't gotten up and left from recording the other show, so I got tired of waiting. So here we are.
You could have said something.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Two Penny Gamescast. Each week, me and Connor come to you with the nerdy news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with two topics, two pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents.
By the way, Tavin, I was lying. I didn't do the Google Doc. I was playing chess with Phil. No, it's not true.
That was a good lie.
Yeah, but I saw it in your eyes. You believed it.
For half a second,
really?
I believed it. For half a second, I believed
Now
it.
believe this. Move this. It doesn't fit with the shot composition. See, you know it too. That's why you didn't protest.
My shot?
That sounds like a you problem. Actually, it's a Phil problem since he put it there. So, Phil, why are you doing things that we don't agree?
Smash it, right?
Well, then you would pay for it. We would have to make you pay for it. Oh,
We didn't pay for it. No, not even. We took it from some other people. Hey, how you doing, Connor?
good. I don't think we did take it from other people, but good. We had a very.
We did take it from other people.
I'll believe.
That's it. We took from.
I know. Yeah. But I just didn't think so. I thought that was yours for some reason.
No, that one we took from them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can say that the energy of this podcast is very bright because we just did a fun-filled review of Castle Crashers. Phil. Philed of Castle Crashers, and we had fun with that one, didn't we? TH?
An F.
Maybe I did.
I don't know what's happening anymore.
I could have. Well, we're doing the show.
You feel something with an F.
What?
F-I-L-L.
Yeah, but I was
It's
saying
Phil.
like we were doing the play on words of Phil.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Come on, man.
I wasn't really paying attention. Yeah, Castle Crashers.
It's not.
Excuse me. The Two Penny Game Club is back with some Castle Crashers. Your monthly video game book club is live right now on the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@2pennygames. Make sure you go and give that one a listen to, a like, and let us know how you feel about Castle Crashers down in the comments below. Connor! Excuse me, I don't know why I'm having so much like indigestion now.
Now? You mean always?
I'm fucking kick the shit out of you.
In the same way I stutter and do that, what I just did right then, you do that. Everyone has their quirks. Go to your one.
My one?
Your shot. He's been waiting for a while. And you're in the shot, by the way. No, unfortunately not. You got to get down real low for that one. We want to flip off the camera.
What are we doing here?
Hey, you opened the can of worms.
Oh, I did,
You did.
100%.
And now we're rolling with
might
it.
be because we don't have a lot to say about the news this week.
We do not, no.
Anyways, Connor, what are we playing for the next month in Two Penny Games so that the people can get aware and get on board with us?
We're trying to make them watch our show.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just tell you anyway.
Yeah.
Demons Souls.
Listen, they're not going to give two shits about our opinions about Castle Crashers. They might care about Demon Souls.
Yeah, that'd be because we're doing it from the perspective of trying to play all of the Souls games in sequence, so we know exactly what the hell was going on in that workshop.
And we are playing the original, not the remake, the FromSoft made one, in which you can actually feel From Software gameplay in it, and not the smooth, very good feeling Demon Souls remake by Bluepoint.
Mm-hmm.
Bluepoint knows how to make a FromSoft game better than FromSoft.
Yeah. Play that game, and we'll see how high you are of how much they made this a better game. Because it's better.
It's better. Yeah, I was watching you play a little bit last night. Woof.
Frame rates.
It dips for no reason.
Loading screens are not as bad as I was thinking they were going to be. They're long, but Metal Gear Solid 4 so far has had longer ones.
They're ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're really ugly. The game is oof.
It's a 2008 game.
Yeah, but even by 2008 standards, like Guns of the Patriots is 2008, and it doesn't look like that.
this game that was a hallmark in how
Yeah.
video games could look, it
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
look like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know.
Well, I mean, when Snake rolls, you hear a sound effect. So,
You do.
like, what do you want from me? You know?
We're not hearing that in a Souls-like game.
Only in this one, though, right?
Only in this one, yeah.
Yeah, weird.
You hear 'em every other one.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Two Penny Gamescast. Each week, me and Connor come to you with the nerdy news you need to know concerning the video game industry. We each come to you with 2 topics, 2 pennies, if you will, and we give you our 2 cents on them. You can catch the show every Monday afternoon live, twitch.tv/2pennygames. But if you can't catch us live, just go ahead and catch us every Tuesday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/@2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment down below to get your audience 2 pennies in, your 2 cents in. I would like to jump to the audience 2 pennies this week, Connor, but we got a bunch of fucking basement dwellers in our comments right now who go, "Oh, Call of Duty's so woke because bullets have rainbow effects on them. Oh, you can play as a woman? Oh, no."
So,
You fucking losers.
those are fun to respond to. Have you seen I hate describing memes because it sounds very stupid, but it's a generational one, as they call it now, where, Patrick, there's that image of him sleeping, he's snoring.
Yeah.
But the caption uses the N-word. But it describes people like that when a game doesn't have a gun or a ball in it and they're sleeping. I think they're being represented by Patrick, who's sleeping, being bored, because it doesn't have, like,
Something to
stupid
of
things
the brain.
for stupid people to latch on to.
the Godwin brain is when Nikki Jakey calls it.
So for anybody that's like upset at that in Call of Duty, they're probably that kind of guy or woman. Probably guy.
They're probably guys.
Yeah.
They're probably little fucking incels,
Mhm.
incest-born freaks of nature who are just so sweaty.
I think you're
I
being-
can fucking feel the sweat on them from here.
In the same way, a murderer could be anybody. One of those kinds of people could be anybody. They could be a sociable guy, but you never know. They could be hung up on weird things.
You say that, but then whenever these fucking losers actually put a profile picture on their page, which is so rare because they're cowards and they can't put their face to their fucking opinion because they know they're fucking wrong. But every few times that they do put a profile picture on there and it's them, it's exactly who you would think it would be. It's 100%. They look 100% how you would feel they do.
Not a
It's
bad
never
bet
been
to me.
touched by anybody, specifically women.
Mhm.
Never had a conversation with a woman. Never felt the warmth of a vagina.
On average, who hates women more? Straight men or gay men?
Straight men.
I would think so as well.
1,000% straight.
But then, like, how do we know? Have we measured it?
Gay men typically have good relationships.
They usually do, but how do we know? Have you counted that? You looked at the demographics and such?
I feel like typically women would agree that they have better relations with gay men than straight men.
I can't think of many other ways to go with this joke.
Because straight men let their penis get in the way. More often than not. Not every time, of course, but
Both do, in fairness. Men do in general. I think
Yeah, but it's more fun with gay men,
it is, yeah.
Yeah,
Why is it?
you know. Yeah, you know. You fuck little boys.
No, see, this guy is one of those people who secretly doesn't want. What?
Huh? Smaller.
No,
Than me or him? Him. He's smaller than him. The boys are. Actually, that's not true.
that's not true on two.
The one that I've met
Two accounts, yeah.
is bigger than you.
They've never been like substantially smaller than me. Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah,
Smaller
And
than you.
definitely
Yeah.
smaller than. Yeah, for the most part,
Hard to find.
it's not.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I don't even think that got picked up, and all the better for it. But wait a minute. What's going on here?
We're insulting your
Something
manhood.
Something just got switched up. Anyways.
Manhood being like general things about being a man.
Why are we here?
Oh, we're here to talk about video games.
Video games.
News,
That's right.
Specifically.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to run into our first topic of the day. Connor, this is going to be your first penny of the day, and it'll be an interesting one.
Yes, it will be an interesting one. It is super fucking interesting.
Yeah?
So much so
Right.
that by the time I've started talking about it,
Yeah.
it would line up with the code, the time code
Right.
I'm now putting in my
There you go.
documents.
Yeah, 100%.
But not even really because it's delayed and whatnot and, stalled for time successfully. This is The only piece, because I know I'll hear about it in a second, by me today. Usually I try to do 4. This time,
I was gonna use Connor's bathroom because I kind of have to shit, but I'm gonna use Tavin's because it's funnier.
Why is it funnier?
also yours has a less of a chance of flushing successfully. Since
He's gonna leave the poop in the toilet. He's not gonna flush the toilet.
That fucking freak.
Okay, all right. This is a wild episode.
It's a wild episode.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, this is the only one I've written. News was slow. So really, did I save myself time?
Okay, all right.
Or did I
All right,
let you
okay.
guys?
Let's be
like,
honest.
I saved my time.
No, you spent too long playing Demon Souls last night, even though I told you to give yourself plenty of time to write, and then you didn't give yourself plenty of time to write.
I actually did. And then I was looking at the stories, and I was like, one of these didn't even become a story on our little suggestion
Well,
here.
until like this morning, yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking the...
The other two stories were...
I'll include it here in this story, the one that I'm referring to right now.
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha.
But continuing onwards for our Substack page at TwoPennyGames.
News.substack.com.
Yeah.
Link in the description.
Xbox and Meta team up to release MetaQuest 3S Xbox Edition. The new console uses the 128GB model of the MetaQuest 3S. Xbox took to its official blog last week to announce a limited edition release console in collaboration with Meta, formerly the Facebook Inc., titled the MetaQuest 3S Xbox Edition. The post from Xbox Partnerships and Marketing Corporate Vice President Lori Wright reads, quote, over the past several years, Xbox has expanded the Xbox Cloud gaming experience to more places and more players. Since the announcement of the Xbox app on Quest, our goal has been to empower more people to play their favorite games whenever and wherever they want. Today, with the MetaQuest 3S Xbox Edition, we are bringing this vision to life with a new design that celebrates Xbox's iconic aesthetic, end quote. The $399.99 bundle comes with an Xbox Carbon Black and Velocity Green MetaQuest S3S in addition to Quest gaming accessories like the MetaQuest Elite Strap and the MetaQuest Touch Plus controllers. Additionally, the bundle includes a limited edition Xbox wireless controller, pictured below, and 3-month subscriptions to Meta Horizon Plus and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Xbox advertises the Xbox wireless controller, Xbox Elite Wireless Controller Series 2, and Xbox Adaptive Controller will work on the Quest device. Meta and Microsoft in December of 2023 began integrating the beta version of Xbox Cloud Gaming app into MetaQuest headsets. Quote, we're proud of what we built together with Meta, and we can't wait for you to dive into everything the MetaQuest 3S Xbox Edition has to offer, the post concludes. Whether you're streaming the latest Xbox Game Pass Ultimate titles, exploring the ever-expanding world of VR, or kicking back with immersive entertainment, this is just the beginning of what's possible when great teams and great technology come together. Now, the most important part about this news is that it's a continuation of what we were talking about last week, and, the week before as well, that Xbox is moving away from just having their, usual in-house console, and they're trying to expand with other partners to, widen their net, so to speak. That first came in the form of the handheld, the Ally, which is going to have all these new these online storefronts available to you on this mobile platform that serves as an Xbox to wherever you want to go. Following that, they basically gave an announcement about how they're going to be working with, I'm literally blanking on it right now. They're working with the last week's.
Old stuff? They're working with...
Silicon, they're integrating Silicon technology. AMD.
Silicon technology.
They're working with AMD for, future, platforms, future things like this, where they're working now hand in hand with Meta to try and just do a limited time bundle. And you can expect to see this happen more and more and more. The most surprising thing about this to me is that we're seeing it happen so quickly. Because last week's video would make you indicate that that's the last you're hearing of any kind of collaboration for a while, with it just kind of setting what's on the horizon. But, here we got this thing. Is it really that special? No. It's nothing. It's not like a new piece of technology. It's just the only new thing is really the controller, which looks nice, but it's, it's a controller. Not exactly making people's eyes bulge out of their skulls. So this is really just a point to bring up for how Microsoft is going to be carrying it in the years to come. It's important to note that Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg confirmed or at least he's getting some mutterings from his insiders at Xbox that they're going to be laying off people potentially on the 30th of July, which apparently is when they usually do some restructuring. Bloomberg also, I don't know if the layoffs happened yet. It's not at Xbox, it's at Microsoft. But some, unrelated to games employees were going to get laid off, presumably. So, does that need to happen? Probably not. You would think when they're going in this whole bold new direction, they would want, more hands on this, more people in the car, or whatever the hell expression I'm trying to reach for right now. But maybe they're trying to, potentially fire these people to hire ones who are more suited for the vision that Xbox seems to have with how they're going to go about from here on out. But there's not really much, breaking about this kind of news.
We talk a lot with these pieces of technology of it giving the consumer more options, more choices to make an educated choice, because these hardware SKUs are expensive, and it gives the consumer more choice in selecting hardware that works best for them in whatever situation that they have, or whatever in whatever way they interact with video games, and what works best for them, right? And we talk a lot about like how the future is not so much based on which computer does the most numbers. That's always going to be an element of this, but it's not always going to be the most affordable element of the hobby, right? So maybe it makes sense to have something a little bit more mid-range with Xbox branding on it that also has apps for different storefronts and all of these. What we, I think, fail to talk about in previous episodes when discussing this is how Xbox and Microsoft as a whole plan to profit off of this. It was brought to my attention online of like, how does Xbox driving people to Steam create more profit for Xbox? And I think the answer to that is complicated. First of all, putting Steam on Xbox branded hardware, I think, is still a good choice no matter how you do it. Now, maybe they cut a deal with Steam to where they can get a percentage of everything sold through Steam on that piece of hardware, because they track all of that information. So, it would make sense if Xbox got a cut of that. Maybe that's the solution. Or maybe they don't do that, which there's been evidence of people pushing to Steam and not getting a cut or whatever, because the Xbox store is also
taken.
Oh, okay. Because the Xbox store is also baked into that hardware, so you always have that available to you as well. And when it really doesn't matter on PC-focused devices what store you buy from, they all connect to each other pretty much anyway for the most part. That matters less and less. So now you're dealing with, well, for Xbox stuff, hi, Phil.
Bye, Phil.
For Xbox stuff, you have... okay, thanks. Well, yeah, that's why I use the... Oh, you're talking the wipes? That's why I use the wipes.
He's an unprofessional wiper. I can see that.
Wipes. I don't know what the problem is. Get in deep with the wipes, Anyways. But that pack of wipes is actually not very good. It was an emergency purchase. I forgot where I was at. Yeah, the Xbox store is on there, hard-baked anyway, so more than likely people will be cross-buying or jumping from one platform to the other. Whatever has the best deal at that moment is just where they'll buy it at that moment. And, whoever gets the profits from that gets the profits from that. But also, if it's an Xbox-branded hardware, I see no reason as to why they can't figure out a way to be like, hey, I see you're looking at... I don't even know. I see you're looking at Doom the Dark Ages on Steam. Did you know this is available on Xbox Game Pass? Like, maybe if you hop over to this other app, we can give you a better deal than what you would get on Steam or something like that.
And part of that is bolstered by the fact I don't think it's actually, we talked about it, but I don't think it was confirmed even then. It was more discussions going on of raising the price of Xbox Game Pass.
It's coming.
So it seems like that's where they really want people to go, and jacking up the price a little bit will allow them to make a bit more profit. As far as, going to Steam and how is that beneficial for Xbox, it isn't. But going off of last week's news with the AMD, they were talking a lot about Windows integration. So it comes to the broader thing to consider, which is Microsoft owns Xbox, and they would want more people gaining access to Windows, which, by and large, if you're going to be playing Steam, you're going to be doing it on a computer, and if you have a computer, chances are you're running Windows.
However we can get you into this ecosystem is best for us.
Yes, and so... What is there were some criticisms that I heard recently. One was from Mike Ybarra, former Blizzard guy. I didn't bother reading it because I don't give a shit what any former Blizzard executive says. But another one was a former Microsoft dev saying they're kind of expanding too much, or they don't really know what they're doing, questioning their business practices. Basically.
The quote I saw being run around is that it seems like Xbox hardware is dead. Yes, but that's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. Because of the reasons that I've laid out to you. It doesn't matter so much that you buy our box, but you buy somebody's box with our logo on it, with our app on it, with our XYZ thing on it. And I think this is a lesson learned from Xbox in that, listen, like, we can have the most powerful console on the market. It doesn't matter. We can have, something just as affordable as anybody else. It doesn't matter. What matters is where can players get the best deal for them? That's what matters to consumers more than pretty much anything else, right? So the smart thing to do is to, in my opinion, still be involved in hardware, still be involved in development and so forth, and use R&D resources in that sense, but less of like put it all on us and let's split the risk so that like we are spending less per hardware. And still gaining the benefit of the selling of the software.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
this is what we're going to expect from Microsoft from now on, because I don't really see them needing a reason to stick with a console the way they've been doing it.
I truly 100% believe that Xbox sees the path to the future here. Like these are the stepping stones to get us to where the box doesn't matter anymore. And Xbox is placing their bets early, maybe a bit too early, but they're placing their bets early on at some point it just doesn't matter anymore. And I do believe it's this next generation coming up is when it's going to start mattering a lot less than it used to.
Yeah.
Moving on to topic number 2. This will be my first penny of the day. We're going to pull from a VGC article because Connor doesn't do his job. Andy Robinson, Capcom reveals Resident Evil Requiem started as an online game, quote, but we realized fans didn't want it. Capcom has revealed that it's tested open world and online concepts for Resident Evil Requiem before settling on a traditional single-player game. Speaking in an extended developer diary video available to members on Capcom's website, Requiem director Koshi Nakanishi shared a brief look at the early online version of Resident Evil 9 and said it was ultimately abandoned because he realized it wasn't what fans wanted. Quote, you might have heard some of the rumors, things like an online Resident Evil or an open world Resident Evil, which we spent some time experimenting with, he said. We actually covered that story when the rumors were circulating 2 years ago now. Quote, but in the end, although we had some interesting concepts, we realized that it wasn't what fans wanted to see or play. So we went back to the drawing board and created what led to Resident Evil Requiem. The first word of RE9's online origins came from prolific series insider Dusk Golem, who wrote on social media last month that the game started development in 2017, starring series protagonist Leon and Jill. According to Golem, the original version of RE9, quote, was trying to be the opposite of first-person entry RE7, but the project got, quote, a pretty heavy reboot in 2021, around the time Village came out. On Thursday, Capcom premiered the first Resident Evil Requiem gameplay, showcasing the game's first and third-person views. Resident Evil Requiem was announced earlier this month at, they say the Game Awards, but it was Summer Game Fest, and is releasing on February 27th, PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC. The game will mark a bold shift for the franchise, according to Capcom, and stars Grace Ashcroft, the daughter of Resident Evil Outbreak's Alyssa, an FBI analyst investigating a series of mysterious deaths in Raccoon City 30 years after it was bombed in the events of Resident Evil 3. Quote, Requiem initially, at least, looks like a familiar successor to the first-person games RE7 and Village, with Ashcroft trapped in some sort of gothic hospital, VGC wrote in a recent Resident Evil Requiem preview.
Thank God that they moved away from what they were planning on. We know the time when Resident Evil started failing as a franchise, and it was really when they took a hard right away from what makes Resident Evil games great, going far more into action. which is more of an egregious mistake to make with Resident Evil. But even so, an online game, like the open world thing, I wasn't a fan of when we were first hearing about that. At least it wasn't online. Like, and thankfully for that, because that would have been that reads to me like, to compare it to PlayStation when they had all these live service titles being announced, and then they all started failing, and they took back like how many of them? 7? They canceled 7.
A lot of them.
A lot of them.
We only know about so many of them, but yeah.
And so thankfully they're really going into the horror route, because the little clips I've seen from this game look creepy as hell. Like the scene, because we watched a little bit of the gameplay before.
The game overview video that they put out. Yeah.
The scene where she's, running in, because you can switch from first person to third person, which is very cool. And the scene where she's running in first person and then turns around, and the way the lighting looked, and you saw like the outline of something in the darkness following behind you. I'm assuming it was a chase sequence. Looks great. You probably wouldn't be able to do that level of horror if they went the route they were discussing here.
Yeah, I don't think so. I've always said I think Resident Evil is at its best when it's in one central location. You're in a house, you're in a mansion, you're in a police department, something of that nature, and you are unlocking doors and finding new ways through to try and get out. That's where I think Resident Evil is at its peak, at its best. There are examples of where they go a little broader and it still works. Resident Evil 4 being the prime example of that. But then there's examples of them going broad and it not working. Arguably Resident Evil 5. And definitely Resident Evil 6, just don't work in that sense. Now, it feels like we're going to be visiting multiple locations in Resident Evil Requiem. They are exploring Raccoon City 30 years after. I imagine we're going to be exploring bits of the RCPD again.
You saw a lot of it was bombed out, where they're clearly going to play around with that. So you only have this area.
What I think we're doing now is honestly a little bit more of the Silent Hill approach of you're going to be exploring Raccoon City, destroyed and abandoned. And then there's going to be moments where now you're in a museum, now you're in the police department, now you're in a XYZ location, whatever you want, right? And get the effects of that and have sort of like what they were doing in Village, where they had several places in Village for you to explore. But here I think it's all just going to be kind of centralized and hopefully united in theme. In Village, they were trying to hit on every type of horror that they could imagine, and I think it left with a product of all right, the castle was cool, the dollhouse was scary, and then does anybody like that factory sequence at the end of Village? I've never seen anybody say they like it. So
I have.
Are they smart people? I don't
Not
know.
A bad sequence.
I think it's bad. I don't think it's the worst thing ever, but I do think it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so. I think the formula of let's kind of centralize the ideas. We are going for this aesthetic. We are going for this theme of horror works, but we can branch out and have different locations to kind of freshen things up and keep things fresh. And obviously the Silent Hill 2 remake was a huge success. It's too recent to have affected the response of that game having affected this one. It's too recent for that to have happened.
You keep bringing up Village. I think this is going to be the most similar to Biohazard in the way it's looking. In large part because of the first person.
Resident Evil 7, as you're saying.
Yes, Resident Evil 7. Yeah. But the fact that you can go into third person, and they were kind of saying that's the more, action, or the action-oriented player.
I don't understand that take.
The way I see it is because Resident Evil 7 had combat. It wasn't that great. The atmosphere, the horror, the family that you're running from.
Was better in Village.
It was better in Village. I think this is going to be the most, honed of that kind of experience. Helped along by the fact that if first person is just not working out, you have the option of switching to third person. And I think it's just going to play cleaner than a lot of those games like Village and Biohazard. But since it's more horror focused, like Biohazard was, I see that as more the template, especially since they moved away from the open world, where I would think the logical development of a sequel to Resident Evil 8 Village, if they were going off of that, would be to make it open world. This almost seems like a sequel to 7 and 8 never happened. In my eyes.
Maybe we'd be in a better place if And I don't think Village is a bad game. I think Village is a good game. But it's probably my least favorite since the renaissance of Resident Evil that started with 7. Village is probably my least favorite of those.
Yeah.
Either that or RE3 remake, but if you stuck another 3 or 4 hours on RE3 remake, I'd probably enjoy it definitively a lot more. So it's a mixed bag there. Yeah, I see your point, and yeah, I get that, but like I don't understand, because to me it reads of like you can choose between RE7 gameplay or RE2 remake gameplay is how I'm taking that. I could be wrong. I never play. They did eventually add a third-person camera to Village. I never played that version of Village, so I don't know how that feels or what it plays like. I assume it plays somewhere in between RE2 and RE4 remakes, somewhere in the middle there. But like, I think all of this is a fine space for Resident Evil to exist in. This is the thing with it, is they keep trying to be like, all right, let's break new ground. Let's go in a different direction. Let's do these things. Resident Evil, you're so good when you're Resident Evil. Just keep giving me that,
But to that point, this one seems like, as a Resident Evil fan and as a horror game fan, which is, of course, what the roots are of Resident Evil, it's going to serve its purpose well.
I certainly hope so. The idea of re-exploring Raccoon City does excite me, but at the same time concerns me. Of like, you could fuck that up.
You could, yeah.
In a lot of different ways. Like, it could just not be an interesting thing to do. Like, it's all destroyed. I think of like Metro 2033 and like it's destroyed in collapse environments and so forth. Would that be great for a Resident Evil game? Maybe. I could see a future where it is, but I could see a future where it leads to a very bland design focus.
Again, going back to the gameplay, it seems it's going to get weird with it. They were in like houses that didn't look like they were rubble, but it also showed us little shots of RPD, and that's the whole foyer is basically just destroyed.
Yeah.
So where else will you go
sky.
in that level? Yeah. I have faith in them with this one.
I am optimistic because it sounds like they made the right choice, and I'm optimistic, but I don't foresee us getting an all-time great Resident Evil. I think we're getting a good one out of this, which maybe that's all it needs to be. But after the highs of some of the more recent titles that we've been having, I do wish we would just continue to get those premium experience like we got with 2 and 4. And a little bit 7. We'll have such rose-colored glasses with 7. I've never really...
That's the thing. I like, as far as quality, that and 8 are so like close together. I would only put 8 above it because there's better moments.
Oh no, 7's way better than 8. I think.
Way better?
Well, no, yeah, it's well, I would say it's a whole like 1.5 better than 8. On like a 10-point scale, it's a whole 1.5.
I just remember all those lame fights with the slime guys.
Yeah, the whatever those are lame. Yeah, but like the unlocking of the Baker house, the boss fights are good. The scares that are there are really good. Fighting, the Baker wife, and she's like got like that weird womb of bugs and shit. That was nasty.
Yeah.
The puzzles are good. I think the story's good. It's just a little long in the tooth and not very interesting. That boat sequence sucks, but when we get back to the and Connor got a good twist.
It does.
Yeah. Moving on. Topic number 3, Connor, your second penny of the day. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, because I play fighting games.
No, I just like the last one, so I'm taking the last
there
one.
You go. VGC, Andy Robinson says, titles his thing. Street Fighter movie. Jason Momoa cast as Blanca, 50 Cent as Balrog. Notably, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson will play Balrog in the movie alongside Jason Momoa as Blanca and Noah Centineo as Ken. Country singer Orville Peck will play Vega in the movie, while Joe Anoa L, a.k.a. WWE superstar Roman Reigns, has been cast as Akuma, and martial artist actor Andrew Koji as Ryu.
Jesus Christ.
Kalina Leong Presence is playing Chun-Li, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Kitao Sakuri, The Eric Andre Show, is directing the Street Fighter movie, which is set to begin production in August in Australia. Legendary is co-developing alongside Capcom. Street Fighter has received several adaptations, both live-action and animated. The most notable live-action adaptation came with 1994's Street Fighter. The film starred Jean-Claude Van Damme, Raul Julia, and Kylie Minogue. Despite critical panning at the time, the film was a commercial success, earning a reported $100 million from a budget of just $35 million. Smaller budget projects followed, even with rumors swirling of a big-budget television adaptation for some time. While Capcom has adapted some of its most popular gaming properties, the results have been mixed. Director Paul W.S. Anderson has been involved with 7 Capcom adaptations, which have received mixed reviews from critics and fans. Almost all of those are Resident Evil. Not all of them, though.
Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter.
Yeah. No, at least we forget. Okay.
Not mentioned in this article, I'm almost starting to think it's a joke now. Andrew Schwartz, a comedian over here, podcaster, comedian, Schultz, is playing Dan Hibiki, the comic relief character, the dumbass.
Sure.
So, with all of that being said, most of what I was seeing was I did see Chun-Li's actress, but for the most part, it was Jason Momoa being pushed. It was 50 Cent, of course, and Andrew Schultz.
He said better get in that motherfucking gym.
Is he not?
No, I mean he's a big dude. He's a buff dude, but like he's also like in his 40s.
Yeah,
and he's got an older man gut. Like
that's true.
Yeah, he's got a little pudginess on him. That boy better go do some sit-ups.
Which is why when I think of the people I just named, they're clearly being picked because they're big names.
Physique,
physique, but also just like they're recognizable. Like you see 50 Cent. Yeah, I 50 Cent. Okay, I'll see him in a movie. What's he going to do? Jason Momoa, of course. He was in the Minecraft movie. So if he can be in that, he can be in this.
Most profitable movie of the year.
Right? Hey, you got a good check for that. But then Andrew Schultz is the big one where I'm like, yeah, you're just trying to get like, hey, remember that guy you've seen on those TikToks or those online videos?
We got a lot of names. It's smelling like Borderlands to me, but
I was going to say that, but then when you look at every other character besides the ones I've just mentioned, who are they? You couldn't tell me. I couldn't tell you.
Their names from XYZ project. They have the big names that they need.
But that's the thing. Because I think of, did you ever see the Mortal Kombat movie?
No.
Okay, I watched it. It's a fun movie. You're not going to sit there and be like, this sucks.
This is my point of like, fighting games ever make good movies? Like good movies?
Yeah. I would say like Mortal Kombat's like more of a good movie than an average movie.
But like real good. Not like it was a fun time. I had a good time.
But you can say that about video game movies in general. No,
I
really broke it through the mold. There's definitely to your point before I move on. I mean, because again, fighting games like this don't really have a story, so you can do whatever. So I just see it as like you can just play around with things, and no one's going to get upset. You're not going to get any backlash whatsoever. You're more likely going to get backlash depending on who you cast. Because I've already seen some people, of course, joke about Andrew Schultz and 50 Cent the most. People don't really seem to have a problem with Jason Momoa. But the Mortal Kombat movie had a lot of, like, there were some important big name actors in it. I can't recall them. Like, who's the guy that played Boomerang?
Jai Courtney.
Jai Courtney, yeah, that's his name. He was Kano. He was the funniest element of that movie. Besides that, though, everybody else, they did a good job. They were charming. It was a fun movie. And so my initial reaction to seeing this was you're just trying to only get big name people so you can have that on the cast listing. But maybe I'll trust the vision here. I don't think it's going to work, but I'll trust.
I can imagine the trailer now. This trailer is going to be very Borderlands, very
jokey, jokes here and jokes there.
Very Suicide Squad. Very what's the Kevin Hart Rock movie where they brought the old
School of Rock?
No, what? Kevin Hart and
Kevin
Rock?
Hart. I don't know. I thought Jack Black.
Well, Jack Black's in it also. The one
Jumanji?
It used to Jumanji. It's going to be very Jumanji, but like Jumanji's like from all sounds like quality movies for the most part. So I think that's the best we can hope for in this case. But those trailers for those movies, the trailer for this is going to be exactly like that, and it's going to be like I can literally like see the names like unfold like as they're like fucking who's the biggest name that they named in here? Jason Momoa, 50 Cent, X guy, Roman Reigns. This guy, like
Roman Reigns is the other one.
Yeah. So we'll see. But I smell a new Borderlands coming.
Oh, I can believe that. We'll see how long it takes in development before we see if it's another Borderlands, because that was in development hell from my memory. But
I don't know.
Either way,
I think it just took a long time because nobody cared.
I wonder why. Seeing that final project, I didn't think
it's a shocker. Nobody cared about the Borderlands movie? That's crazy.
You mentioned Jumanji, by the way. Mortal Kombat's better than the first one. I've seen those people talk about those movies highly, do more than they should.
Oh, really?
At least the first one. I haven't watched the second.
I don't know.
Just saying.
I saw clips of the second one when I worked at a movie theater.
You laughed.
Seemed okay.
I think I've heard the second one's better.
I don't know.
What the hell do I know?
Yeah.
Jumanji.
Nobody's like negative about those movies though.
Yeah, it's not.
You know.
Definitely not worth that.
Moving on to our final topic of the day, Connor. Assassin's Creed Black Flag actor says fans may have to beat the game again as remake rumors mount. This is from VGC, Jordan Midler. Assassin's Creed Black Flag's lead actor has dropped a hint that fans may get to play the game again as rumors of a remake continue to swirl. A remake of Assassin's Creed Black Flag has been rumored for some time. It was reported in 2023 that the game was in the early stages of development and that Ubisoft Singapore, the studio behind the original game's boating gameplay, would be involved in the remake project. VGC understands that the project is still in development. Now, the actor behind Edward Kenway, the game's protagonist, has hinted to a fan that they'll have the chance to play the game again soon. Speaking at a convention, actor Matt Ryan asked a fan if they'd beaten the game. When the fan said that they had beaten the original, Ryan said, quote, "Well, you might have to beat it again." He then followed this up by saying, "There's a reason I say that, but I can't say anything." Previously, statue maker Pure Arts also hinted at the game's existence during a live stream in which it revealed several new Assassin's Creed toys. Staff at the company addressed the lack of Edward Kenway figures, saying, quote, "Assassin's Creed fans out there, you should be aware that something is going on with Edward." The staff member then said when Pure Arts released a new version of Edward Kenway, it will reflect that accordingly. That is presumed to be the remake of the game. Last year, Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot claimed that, quote, "Players can be excited about some remakes, which will allow us to revisit some of the games we've created in the past and modernize them." Previously, Ubisoft has ported some 360-era titles to modern platforms, such as in Assassin's Creed, the Ezio Collection, which was released in 2016. However, these remasters involved minor upgrades to the original rather than a full remake of the fan-favorite titles.
Hey,
Hey, man, it's happening. Cool.
Assassin's Creed's running out of ideas, it sounds like.
I mean, they've been running out of ideas, Listen, I like Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, at least to my memory of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I've not gone back and replayed that game since I first beat it when it came out.
A friend of mine has been going through all the Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah.
Definitively puts Black Flag at the best. And it seems like he's recently played them. So
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the boating stuff is what kind of brings it up so high. I remember a lot of trailing missions that were really boring. I remember a narrative that wasn't the most exciting. So maybe this is an opportunity to where we can beef up where the original game kind of has some shortcomings, and then of course just improve and upon the things that people liked. Make it look better, make it play better. All of that would be cool. Combat system is where I draw some question marks. I go, okay, well, how does combat work in a remake of Assassin's Creed? What direction do you go with that? Is this a way that we can sort of like put a new stamp on what Assassin's Creed gameplay is? I don't know. Or do you just play it safe and just kind of keep it as true to the original as possible? I don't know. What is the right answer to that? I don't think there is one. Black Flag is a game that is still modern enough that it doesn't really require this. But I'm not. Whenever there's a remake available, I'm always down for it, for a number of huge reasons. This was before the big push for accessibility, so it'd be nice if Black Flag had more accessibility options for disabled gamers. And if it's possible for them to but improve upon what came before, I'm totally down for that. Let's get a better version of the original game, or get a better version of the game. In which the first one wasn't so successful. I forget what the modern stuff. I think this one had the first person mode. Yeah, in the modern era stuff. It wasn't like a character. It was you. Mm-hmm. Like you worked at Abstergo, and you were unlocking memories. And then by the end of the game, you like unlocked that like Abstergo were bad guys or something like that. Like you worked for the company. You were just some guy or whatever. Like it wasn't. It was literally supposed to be you. Like they would talk to you. I don't think they gave you a name. So yeah, I think that's the one Black Flag had. So do we keep that? Do we cut that? Do we, expand upon that? I don't know. And in general, I mean, I've never thought Black Flag was as good as everybody says it is. But then again, I don't think Assassin's Creed in general was ever as good as people say it was. You know,
Yeah.
I have a lot of fond memories from childhood of it, but in general, it's an okay franchise that just got really popular. You know, for a number of reasons. Gameplay is good enough. The idea of being an assassin is cool and fun, and jumping around to different time periods in history is cool. You know, it's cool. Assassin's Creed is cool, and it kind of like blew up off the fact that it's cool.
Yeah. Because execution seems to be their biggest
I don't think
issues.
gameplay's ever been good in Assassin's Creed until Origins.
Kind of crazy because I've only played like a fair amount of 2, a bit of Brotherhood, and all of Odyssey. That's it. And one of those is very different from the rest of the catalog.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've always thought that, like, in terms of like main gameplay, I mean, Black Flag did have the best like gameplay of that era. Syndicate was up there also. And then from there, like, I always really liked Brotherhood, like, and how Brotherhood play. I thought Assassin's Creed got too like loaded down, and Revelations, the kill animations took too long, so it kind of like slowed combat down to kind of a bit of a crawl as I'm watching Ezio and Connor just stab the fuck out of dudes 100 times, and I'm like, all right, I get it, they're dead. Like, let's move on to the next guy. And then, you know, the multiplayer was still fun. Ooh, are we getting multiplayer in this Assassin's Creed remake? That's a question. That is something that people have always wanted to come back, and that was still kicking around in Black Flag. We still had multiplayer for that.
If it came out and didn't have it, it'd be disappointing.
That would be
Because
disappointing.
That was the first time. No, it was not. The Brotherhood,
was the first one. So yeah, this was iteration 4 of that.
Yeah, but they stopped doing it at one point, and now you can...
I think it was the last one that had it.
I can believe it.
Because, yeah, Black Flag was at the end of the 360 era, and then we went into Unity. Assassin's Creed Rogue, I think, is the 360, the last 360 Assassin's Creed game. That one might have had multiplayer, but I didn't play that one, so I couldn't tell you. Unity had co-op, and then they haven't done multiplayer since.
Yeah, I mean, with Ubisoft, with the position Assassin's Creed is in right now with Ubisoft, Shadows did well enough. You know, at least number like critic wise and sales wise, it seemed like it was doing fairly well.
I don't think it did.
We'll find out later, I guess, definitively. But people have been asking to go to Japan for a while, and now that they got it, what other thing have people been expecting Assassin's Creed to go and do? Nothing. Now, this is bad, especially where Assassin's Creed isn't in the most safe, comfortable position right now. But at least now you can, you know, maybe open the gates wider than you otherwise would. You aren't so confined to what the next Assassin's Creed game is, and maybe online's a big part of that future. And this is where they can kind of hamper out, like, okay, maybe people are going to want to jump into it besides just this mainline story that people don't really even seem to care about now. Give players something to have a reason to play the next Assassin's Creed game.
Multiplayer boat combat would be cool
Yeah,
to like be able to, like, you know, fight each other in boats and so forth. And I could see some like use some of the RPG elements of the Origins era that could kind of make that fun and exciting and interesting. That's another question I have is, do you do old gameplay or new gameplay?
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
They have a template for how to do ship combat. Skull and Bones, baby. It's time to use Skull and Bones ship combat.
Connor, where do you think Skull and Bones got its format from?
I figured as
from
much.
Black Flag. Yeah, this is interesting. Kind of surprised they're going the Black Flag route instead of remaking the original first.
Yeah,
but
it's outdated. But
I think from a fan base perspective, this one makes the more sense. You're going to make more money off of this than you would off of Assassin's Creed 1 remake.
I get that. Okay, I was going to say Resident Evil 2 remake had their thing first because of how popular it is, but Resident Evil 1 had been made multiple times. So Silent Hill 2 remake, Silent Hill 2 was the fan favorite Silent Hill game, and when they decided to start remaking things, they immediately went to that.
Favorite. Delta Snake Eater.
Delta Snake Eater as well. Yeah. So, well, maybe that's. I don't think it's so clearly defined as the fan favorite. I think it's this fan's favorite.
No, I think it's general. Snake Eater's generally is accepted as the fan favorite.
But then I obviously like in lists people make, Metal Gear Solid 1 is always like and 2 is ranked usually there or higher.
Yes, but 1 and 2 have aged, so new fans have more trouble getting into those more than Snake Eater. Snake Eater is the easiest to get into. It's also not sequelized, like you don't. It stands alone.
Yep.
In its own story, and it's not held back by MGS1 gameplay and game design.
It's Kojima's best execution of telling a narrative. out of all of his games. So,
I would say so. Yeah.
Uh.
And yeah, so like I've seen lots of people go like, yeah, I've played Metal Gear. I went back and I played the first 3 games, and yeah, I liked 1 and 2 fine, but 3 is the sauce.
Well, how you're framing it, Tavin? Are there more old Metal Gear Solid fans around, or are there more new ones around?
There's more old ones around.
So
that's why you start with Delta, or that's why you start with Snake Eater, because of the newer fans, they all like Snake Eater the most.
I see. Yeah.
So you start with that one. And also, like, and then there's also the argument of going in chronological order, which I don't think they're going to do, but we'll see.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know.
Black Flag is the most talked about one.
The first Metal Gear Solid is it's Hideo Kojima's masterpiece. It's his what is the word that they use?
Magnum opus?
It's his magnum opus. You know, you don't want to Snake Eater's not seen as the magnum opus, even though it is. But is not seen as the magnum opus, the untouchable Hideo Kojima project. It's another Hideo Kojima masterpiece.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not the one that makes the name is more important than the one that
carries the name.
Name. That's a great way to put it. You know?
True.
You know, how many people point to Pulp Fiction as Tarantino's best, even though it's not?
It's not, no. Know who people don't give enough credit to, as far as Assassin's Creed is concerned, as the best Assassin's Creed game?
Oh, here we go.
Odyssey.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody wants a remake of that fucking game.
This is more the concept of what is a fan
I'm with you. Odyssey is far and away the best.
Yeah.
Far and away the best. But
one of the only ones I played.
It is what it is. Hey, 51 minutes?
51
That's enough time. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been your episode of the Two Penny Gamescast. Drop a comment down below. What do you think about all of today's stories? Are you interested in an Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake, the Street Fighter movie, or whatever the hell Xbox is doing? Let us know down in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe for more, and follow us on podcast services and social media, TikTok. All of the links are down in the description down below. Until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye and have a great day. And don't get in a car crash.
Why would you tell them to not do that?
Because I got in one.
Oh, shit, Connor. Are you okay?
Yeah, bud.
Okay, great. Have a great...
Inconvenience.
All right, well, we'll see you next week.